So we're going to talk about how to design a sales comp plan that drives better revenue. And maybe the first question is why this topic? And I'd like to highlight one part of the book from Mark Roberge, former VP of Sales of HubSpot, who grew the company from 0 to 100 million. And there's a whole chapter where he says things about sales compensation, including the fact that the most powerful tool you have as a CEO or as a VP of sales to drive business strategy. So the question today, maybe the first one is, what do we mean by better revenue? And what we mean by better revenue is revenue that has the most value for the company acquired at the lowest cost. So what does the most value for the company means? Once you grow as a company, you've got multi-products, maybe multiple geographies. There's many different market segments. You can sell with multi-year commitment, different payment terms. You can have inbound, outbound. The consequence of that is that £1 of revenue is not equal to £1 of revenue. And therefore, it's crucial to tell to the sales reps through the incentive program what pound of revenue is better than the other. And what I mean by acquire the lowest cost is basically, today, especially in the current environment, but it's very important to be as profitable as possible. So it means that as a sales leader, it's your responsibility to create the comp plan that will align behavior with the strategy, but also to create something that is not too complicated. Let's take a very simple example here, and we'll be releasing a white paper with Michael Hansen from Growth Genie. It's a simple example, but saying you pay 10% of the deal, which are inbound, and 15% on the deals that are outbound, is something that works. Why? Because you incentivize the reps to go and do some outbound. And in terms of spending for the company, what you don't spend in marketing, you can spend it in commissions. Of course, that's a simple example, and the reality is much more complicated than this. So let's get into it. I'm going to play math teachers. Sorry about that. But when you design the right incentives, you've obviously had to do some math to ensure that the comp plan is the best possible. And the first question I usually get is, what targets should I give to the reps? How much should I pay them? What should be the compensation, the commission rates on it? If we tackle this subject, we often hear the rule of thumb that the quota should be 5x the OTE being on target earning, so fixed plus variable. This is usually true, but the real thing behind this is customer acquisition cost. You want to have a comp plan which allows you to generate revenue according to the expected customer acquisition cost that your company can afford. So let's take this example. Let's say you're selling a 20K pounds ACV product. You've got 10 AEs with 100K OTE and 500K quota, and you're already spending 2 million a year in marketing and other overhead costs. What happens in terms of customer acquisition cost is that you pay every year 2 million, that's the marketing budget, plus 10 AE at 100K divided by the number of customers acquired. That's a 12K CAC with a 20K ACV. So that works because usually when you have a CAC below ACV, that's a good customer acquisition cost. It's a very simple example, but when you think about what commission rates should I give to my reps, do this small math. Try to make it work with your ACV, your CAC, the OT of your reps, and you will see if you have a profitable unit economics. Just as additional information, what you can see here, it's a study from the Bridge Group, who surveyed many different companies on what's the commission rates that their AEs get paid on for every deal that they close, and you see that the median commission rate is usually 10%. So that's the first part, and then you need to think about, all right, so we discussed what's going to happen at target achievement, but what does happen beyond target achievement or before it? What do I do for top performers, for underperformers? And that's where, to have a good incentive structure, you will want to have some accelerators. So what are accelerators? Accelerators, it's like the blue curve here. It's when you decide to pay even more top performers and pay even less low performers. So there can be many different trends, but you see the more you earn, the more you close, the more you earn, and even more compared to the linear commission in red. Let's see what it means in terms of CAC. What you have is, even if you pay your top reps with accelerated rates, and your CFO might be, oh, we're going to pay some reps a very high amount of money, you still have your CAC going down. So that's the evolution of the CAC, customer acquisition cost, depending on the target achievements. So here on the right, what you see is that you have your top reps that get paid 200K per year. Why? Because that's 50 base plus triple of their on target variable. So 50 plus 150, because they did 200% target achievements. And you know what? Even if you pay them this amount of money, the CFO is happy. Whereas in this case, low performance, you pay them only this amount of money because they don't get their OTE, but the CAC is much higher. So when you have this usual discussions between finance and sales about the sales manager saying, I want accelerators, the finance leader saying, we're going to cap commissions. As a sales leader, you can just show them this slide and tell them, yes, but even if you pay them with high accelerators, even if we don't cap commissions, you will still be happy. And the rest will be willing to do the extra mile. So I must admit that there is, of course, limits to my reasoning. When I say at the lowest cost, it can sound like a very financial point of view, and it is. But there's, of course, a limit to mathematics, especially when it comes to comp plans, because you need to remember that the comp plan is first and foremost a psychological tool to drive behavior from the rep. And if you do things too complicated, or if you just like if you have a comp plan which is not really driving the right behavior for the team, or if you at some point change it too much, or if you break the trust in your sales team because they care a lot about the money, you will have broken something that you cannot repair. So be careful to remind that math, as I did them, are a good way to create a comp plan, but you also need to think about the psychological thing of the comp plan. So principles such as pay as frequently as possible, ideally monthly, are great principles to keep the reps engaged, and of course, making it easy for them to read the comp plan. And that's where, and I'll finish by this, where Qobra can help, because we built a sales compensation software that helps companies automate compensation and escape from blurry spreadsheets, which we all know are just a pain and to manage, so that we provide real-time transparency and more motivation to the sales reps. And we work with great companies like the one you can see here, like Spendesk, CoachUp, GoOne, Celonis,